Hello, I'm Javier, and I'm going to be showing you today how to play Guardian Druid in the Undermined, patch 11.1.0 in the War Within. I don't know why I say it like I'm a sports commentator when I'm opening this one. This is going to be a very beginner-friendly guide, but I am going to show you everything you need to know to excel as a Guardian Druid. Do excuse my voice, I have got a bit of a cold. I've been filming too much over my free channels, I think. First things first, if you like my UI here, you can get this on my Patreon. It comes with LVUI, Voodoo profile, details, profiles, etc. And I can help you set any of it up. I get asked for it a lot, hence why I offer it. We are going to be looking at both the Raid and the Mythic Plus build. This one here is the Raid build, Druid of the Claw, and then Mythic Plus we're going with Loon's Chosen. But don't worry, because the rotations don't really change much. Guardian Druid is one of my favourite tanks as well. But it really is also one of the simplest. So it doesn't mean that complex has to be the funnest. You know, sometimes the simple ones actually really are the fun ones. So let's just have a look at the stats quickly before we get into them. So, of course, you want a higher and higher eye level, first and foremost. That's going to give you more agility, which increases your damage. But also as a tank, it increases your dodge chance as well. After that, we're actually going to want versatility, which increases damage done and healing done, but also decreases damage taken. After that, we're going to go for haste and then mastery. What does mastery do as a Guardian Druid? Well, it increases our health and healing received and increases our attack power. So it's a pretty good all-rounder, similarly to versatility. You can sometimes go defensive versus offensive. If you are defensive, you want versatility and haste. If you were to go offensive, it's pretty similar, but you could get like a bit more crit just to get some more damage out there, because it's not going to help you defensively. As a tank, you do get some extra secondary stats like on here that are shown, which is dodge, speed, and leech, or just dodge really. Speed, leech, I think it's coming from. Oh, that is coming from us. But don't worry too much about all of those. Sometimes your gear gives you some secondary stats as well from those. Okay, so jumping now into the actual raid rotation, which is a single target rotation, I'm going to be enabling some action bars just to show you. The left here is the toppest priority, or the highest priority, oh my goodness, and the bottom or the right is the lowest priority. We're then going to go and talk through the talents and kind of what actually is this. So the number one priority is Heart of the Wild. You want to precast this before you actually pull the boss. So what you'll see here is that this is going to be enhancing your spells that are not Guardian Druid spells, so Balance, Spell, and Restoration. So for example here, Balance, cast time of Balance spells is reduced and the damage is increased. The reason we precast this is because our top priority spell is actually Moonfire, and that is a Balance spell. If you remember, from Heart of the Wild, we're increasing the damage done from our Balance spells. Meaning then, we're going to use Heart of the Wild before we go into combat, and then use our Moonfire to do more damage. It basically is a dot or damage over time that does arcane damage, and you want to keep this up at all times. Sometimes you will get a proc on your Moonfire, as you can see here, and this is called Galactic Guardian. You can see here on the buffs, your next Moonfire generates 8 rage and deals increased direct damage. That is from this talent down here. Galactic Guardian. So your damage, any damage you do, has a 5% chance to trigger a free automatic Moonfire, meaning you don't have to press it, it's just going to happen. However, when that free Moonfire goes off automatically, your next Moonfire that you actually cast yourself, which is the one that you see procced when it had the little yellow lines going around it, like this, so you just saw the Moonfire hit the target, and then we get our own procced Moonfire that we can use. So that next Moonfire generates 8 rage and deals 300% increased damage, or direct damage. So you've heard me say the word rage a lot. That is this resource here. Some of our abilities generate rage, like Thrash here, you can see generates 5 rage. Mangle generates 17 rage. Whereas our abilities like Maul here, when we don't have a free one procced, will cost you 40 rage. It will also turn into Ravage, as you can see. Really bad example because it's already getting confusing. But the TLDR here is that rage is our main resource, and we are generating it with some spells here and spending it on a few spells here. And I'm going to go into more of that in depth shortly. So we've gone over precasting Heart of the Wild and Moonfire and why we do it. Then we have Thrash and Mangle. You're basically going to want to cast most of these on cooldown. Thrash strikes all nearby enemies for damage and an additional amount of bleed damage over 11 seconds. It can stack up to 4 times. It generates a little bit of rage. You're going to use it on cooldown. It only is on a few seconds cooldown. The same thing with Mangle, that also deals 20% additional damage against bleeding targets. Remember, when you use your Thrash, your target is bleeding, so you then use Mangle. One other thing to remember, this isn't a rotation from left to right, it's a priority list. So, I'm saying use Thrash and Mangle on cooldown, but then if you've got your free Moonfire, go back up and use your Moonfire and refresh that on the target. So after we've gotten to there, we're then going to use our cooldown Incarnation Guardian of Urksok. It's an improved bear form that grants the benefits of Berserk, causes Mangle to hit up to 3 targets, and increases maximum health. So when it says it gives you the benefits of Berserk, you may be thinking, well, then what is Berserk? So the way this cooldown works is that we get Berserk here, go Berserk, and reducing the cooldowns of Mangle, Thrash, and Growl. And then you see the same icon here and here. Berserk, Unchecked Aggression. It incorporates it into the cooldown. So you're now getting increased haste and recosting of Mangle. And here, we're reducing the cooldown of our Frenzied Regen and Iron Fur, abilities I haven't spoken about yet. But then when we go down here, we're replacing it all with Guardian of Urksok, which all comes together into Incarnation Guardian of Urksok. So if you see Berserk and you're like, well, I don't have Berserk, that is because it is this. Then we have Rage of the Sleeper. You should use this on cooldown when you need it. Unleash the Rage of Urksok, preventing 20% of all damage you take, increasing your damage done, and granting 20% leech, which obviously gives you health back from your attacker and reflecting damage back to your attacker. So now that we've gone through these kind of important cooldowns and using things on cooldown, keeping up Moonfire, etc., we've got a lot of rage. So how are we spending it? Well, we're going to generate lots and lots of rage from these abilities, and we're going to dump it all into Maul. The way I like to say this is to... we have 2 ways of using rage, offensively and defensively. Offensively is Maul, okay? You're sometimes going to get free ones, use them when you get them, and then dump as much rage as you can into Maul. It's 40 rage a time. If you want to dump rage defensively, I just get some rage. That is going to be Iron Fur. It increases your armor for 7 seconds. That costs 30 rage. It can actually stack as well. You'll see here, I've actually got... oh, no, I've run out. You can see it here, actually, on your weak aura as well, if you are using a weak aura like this. I'm using the Lux Foss weak aura. You can see I use Iron Fur. I've got 1 stack, I've got 2 stacks, and I've got 3 stacks. So it can stack up. And that is how you're defensively using your rage. But offensively will be your Maul. You will actually get procs on it, as you can see. We have a talent here, Tooth and Claw. Auto attacks have a chance to empower your next Maul, stacking up to 2 times. It's an empowered cast. It deals more damage, costs free, and reduces the target's damage that they do to you. So when you see your... not when it turns into Ravage, but when it has this little yellow stripes around it, it's actually going to give you a buff, basically. See, Tooth and Claw, dealing reduced damage to heavy heals, or heavy doo-doo, as this is what's called. But that is that debuff here. So whenever you get a free Maul, do use it, because it's also going to help you defensively as well as offensively. We've also got Moonfire down here and down here. So you may be wondering, why am I using Moonfire 3 times in the priority list? Well, as a beginner, I like to, rather than just have it on once, I like to visualize why we're using it at different points. We're using it here to make sure we're keeping it up on the target at all times. We're using it here whenever we get free procs. We're using it here if we just have nothing else left to press. So right now, Moonfire is up on the target, as you can see. I've got a free proc of it, but I'd actually use my Heart of the Wild, well, and Moonfire, my Thrash, my Mangle, and I'd use all of these and dump my Rage before actually using my free Moonfire. It's actually down here on the priority list, basically. And then, of course, dump your Rage into Iron Fur if needed. After that, we have Frenzied Regeneration. Heals you for 20% health over 3 seconds. It increases healing received. It is 2 charges on a very quick cooldown. That's really good to use. It's only 10 rage. And then lastly, we just have Swipe. So you can swipe all nearby enemies, dealing damage. And then we have Moonfire. And these 2 are literally if you have nothing else to press. So let's go through the rotation one more time, just so that we fully understand it. And then I'll explain about why this goes to Ravage. So use Heart of the Wild, and then use Moonfire. You do that on cooldown. Use your Thrash and your Mangle on cooldown. Use your Incarnation Guardian of Urksok and Rage of the Sleeper on cooldown. Use any free Mauls, Ravages, and dump your Rage. on your maul. That's going to help you offensively and defensively, but for extra defensive, you can use Iron Fur. So right now, I'm gonna go back up and use these on cooldown, dumping any rage that I have, as you can see here, basically like this. It's quite a simple rotation, really. And it basically works like that. So, let's now talk about important talents that we have and Ravage. Druid of the Claw means that sometimes your maul will become Ravage. It's basically a much better version, and it will hit all enemies in front of you. The rest of these talents basically go into that. I would recommend you read them on your own. I don't want to overwhelm you. During Berserk, Mangle, Swipe, and Thrash have a 25% chance to make your next maul become Ravage. So it's basically all about just enhancing your maul into Ravage. Other important talents that we have here, Galactic Guardian, we've already gone through. The Berserks, we've already gone through here. Sometimes you will get a free Mangle. Your Thrash, Swipe, Moonfire, and Maul have a chance to reset the cooldown on Mangle and cause it to generate extra rage. That is your Mangle here. If you ever see a free one of that, that's what talent that is from. Your Frenzied Regeneration, which is this one here, remember I said it can heal you. This is actually going to be increased depending on how much health you have missing. So do use that when you need. While in bear form, you do 20% increased arcane damage. That helps Moonfire. And then we have Ellune's Favoured. While in bear form, you do another 10% increased arcane damage and are healed for all of 25% arcane damage done. Meaning your Moonfire will also actually help you. Your direct damage melee abilities against enemies affected by Moonfire cause them to also burn for an additional 20% of arcane damage, again making Moonfire really important. Each stack of Thrash reduces the target's damage to you and increases your damage to them. Again, another offensive and defensive passive happening there. So there's a lot of this. We see how it all starts to work into the rotation to actually help you here. We also then have Thorns of Iron. When you cast Iron Fur, you also deal physical damage equal to 20% of your armor, split among enemies within 12 yards. That's reduced to about 4 applications. So basically, even though I'm saying that your maul is your offensive and your Iron Fur is defensive, they actually do a bit of the opposite passively as well, which is really nice. And then we have Ursuk's Guidance. Every 25 rage that you spend reduces the cooldown of Incarnation Guardian of Ursuk by a second. So whenever you're spending rage, you're actually actively reducing the Incarnation Berserk cooldown that you have here. Lastly, I just want to take you through some little utilities that we have that are really, really important. You've got Bark Skin, which is a fantastic defensive, reducing damage you take, increasing healing received, and preventing damage from delaying your spellcasts. We have Growl. This is your taunt. This makes the target attack you. So if a mob has gone off and attacked an ally, you can use Growl to get them back onto you. We also have Survival Instincts, reducing all damage you take by 60% for 6 seconds. Skull Bash, 15-second cooldown will interrupt the enemy spellcasting, really important. And Renewal on a 1.5-minute cooldown will instantly heal you for 30% of your health. We do also have Wild Charge, which you can charge into an enemy, immobilizing them for 4 seconds. Rebirth is your battle res. Remove Corruption will nullify corrupting effects on friendly targets, removing curse and poison. You can help out your healers, etc. with that. Dash will speed you up. This is really great in dungeons and stuff. Prowl, if you go to cat form, you can actually go into stealth. Just because you're a Guardian Druid doesn't mean you can't do these things. You just have to go to cat form first. And that is pretty much it for the main single target rotation. If we now go into the Mythic Plus build, you're going to see that the talents look quite different, but really, we're not actually changing much at all. So I'm going over here, and we are going into Ellune's Chosen, and we're taking Lunar Beam here as well. So what does Ellune's Chosen do, and what is Lunar Beam? Well, Lunar Beam, it now causes you to leech life equal to 10% of all damage dealt to enemies within the beam, and then this is all like improving your arcane damage, etc. And then Lunar Beam increases mastery as well. So Lunar Beam is here. It's a 1-minute cooldown, so we can use it quite a lot. Summons a beam of lunar light at your location, increasing your mastery by 30%, dealing arcane damage and healing you for a lot of health. The only difference we're making to our rotation, as opposed to single target, is that we're going to sneak in Lunar Beam here. And then everything else just moves down one. That is literally the only difference you're doing in the Mythic Plus and AoE rotation. Remember, Thrash is going to hit all nearby enemies. When your maul turns into... oh, no, it's not going to turn into Ravage, because other heroes' talents, ignore that. But but a lot of your abilities are actually going to be hitting other ones, without you really needing to do much. So we can easily do a lot of AoE damage here without you even realizing it. But that is the only difference we're actually doing in Mythic Plus. One difference in the talents is more so the Druid talents, where we're getting things like Ursul's Vortex and Typhoon. Typhoon will push back an enemy. Ursul's Vortex is really great at slowing your enemies. We basically just have a lot more utility in Mythic Plus. Incapacitating Roar will incapacitate all enemies within 10 yards. And then we have Hibernate, putting an enemy to sleep as well. Tangling Roots could be useful too, but we do have it in both builds that I've put together. Don't forget, of course, your Mark of the Wild. And Soothe as well, that will actually get rid of enrage effects. So that's all the utilities you've got, so do think about using those when in Mythic Plus. One very new, one more is Innovate. You can use this on a healer to help them with mana. One new one we have is Symbiotic Relationship that we're using. Form a bond with an ally. Your self-healing also heals your bonded ally, and your healing to your bonded ally heals you. If you're with a Restoration Druid, they will generally have this as well. I would know because I put a Restoration Druid build together. So put this on whoever you really need, I guess. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. It depends who needs a bit of extra healing in your group, etc. But do keep this up at all times. It's very, very useful. The only last one else I haven't mentioned is Stampeding Roar, which can help increase the speed for you and your party. Again, getting through Mythic Plus dungeons a lot quicker. These are really, really useful. And that is pretty much it, guys. If you do need any extra help at all, do join the Patreon. We have a VIP channel in Discord. You will get this whole UI and some macros and lots of other bits and bobs on there. And of course, it massively helps support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I do actually do quite a lot on this channel. As you can see, I do every single spec. I've done War Within PvP guides. You can see here, Season 1, 65 videos. I do every single spec, every single season. Pre-patch guides I do as well. I do WoW Classic and Cataclysm as well. I'll be doing Mr. Pandaria if you play that. I do also run the Javi Herobrine channel. If you're also into other games, this is my Minecraft channel. Do check this one out. It's all for modded Minecraft, and I teach everyone how to play mods in there. And I do also have my new channel, Javi How To, which I've repurposed into a variety gaming guides channel. So do check out this one if you're looking for all of the latest releasing games and how to get guides on those.